Lost a loved one after a Midland train crash last November.
CBS 7's Matt Riss spoke to the wife of one of those four brave men. He
joins us now live from the site of the accident where a community was shaken by this tragedy. Matt?
4 crosses keep watch over these tracks, flags flying in the wind, small reminders of the 4 families' lives who were changed forever. From the suburbs of San Antonio, Daylin Michael and her 2 kids, 8-year-old Macy and 15-year-old Ryan, look like your average family.
I have a 15-year-old son named Ryan. He's a junior varsity football player at his high school, and I have an 8-year-old little girl named Macy that's just active.
Wake up!
There's no describing it, she's just active.
Daylin met their father, Joshua Michael, in college. It was a whirlwind romance.
I wasn't attracted to him. I don't know what happened.
Joshua Michael enlisted at 24. After 2 tours in Iraq and 2 Purple Hearts, the decorated veteran meant everything to Daylin and her 2 kids.
The feeling of being complete. That's just the way it was supposed to be, the way it was. I don't know, just feeling whole.
But beneath the surface of their daily routine, Daylin, Macy, and Ryan are dealing with the loss of their father. He and 3 others lost their lives in November's tragic train accident in Midland when a Union Pacific train collided with a show of support parade float. Chief Warrant Officer and Marine Gary Stouffer, Army Sergeant Major William Lubers, Army Sergeant Major Lawrence Boyven, and Army Sergeant Joshua Michael.
Sergeant Josh Michael, 101st Airborne, Army!
Daylin remembers most things about that afternoon. She and her husband were honored guests riding on a show of support float to honor wounded veterans.
He kept telling me that he didn't deserve it, he didn't deserve it. He didn't see himself as the hero that he was. But it was an honor to be there. They really knew how to make us feel very, very patriotic.
You guys are the backbone of this country.
For years, Show of Support brought wounded veterans into the basin for a stress-relieving hunt for heroes and to honor them with luncheons, a banquet, and a parade across Midland. It was at one of those patriotic events that Daylin's life changed forever. The Union Pacific train collided with the float, carrying 24 veterans and their wives.
He was trying to warn. He was yelling and telling me that I needed to get off the float, but I was frozen. I was scared. He pushed me. I felt his hand in the small of my back, and then I hit the ground.
In the moments after the accident, Daylin found her husband lying in a pool of blood.
He looked like he was sleeping. I just told him to wake up, but I was in shock. I was afraid to touch him. I was afraid to do anything.
Sergeant Joshua Michael was rushed to Midland Memorial Hospital.
I thought, there's no way he's gonna die, no way. Stuff like that doesn't happen to people like us. It's not the way it was supposed to turn out.
Despite the best efforts of doctors, Sergeant Joshua Michael was pronounced dead later that evening. Daylin's first instinct was to join her children, hundreds of miles away with family, and begin the long, life-changing road to understanding the loss of a father and husband.
I had to get out of there. I had to get home to them.
Struck by a train.
In minutes, the story was on television screens across the country.
Really hard to believe the veterans, some of them wounded.
Before Daylin arrived, her husband's parents had the burden of telling the children the terrible news. A year later, and 8-year-old Macy wants more than anything to be a gymnast. But beneath the happy tumbling is a little girl dealing with a terrible loss.
Macy has emotional breakdowns a lot of the time at school because the other kids don't understand that she lost her dad tragically and recently.
15-year-old Ryan tosses a football with his little sister, but he too is wrestling with saying goodbye too soon.
Ryan's more of a anger. He's got a lot of pent-up anger. I'm very impressed with how good they're doing. It's that inner strength coming from their dad. I like to say I'm doing good. I like to say that I'm healing the right way, but the little things will trigger a memory or trigger a sense that I know he's not coming back, and it kind of smacks me into reality again.
There are many questions about that day, questions fresh on Daylin's mind.
I've tried to place blame on everybody, and I can't blame the driver. He was doing what he was instructed to do. I don't know what he could have done to change the outcome.
Daylin carries a handful of photographs of Joshua wherever she goes, small reminders of a happy life.
I miss him. He was a vital part of my life for 16 years. I'll never stop. I don't want to stop. We'll move on, but he'll always be a major part of our life.
In the meantime, the family of 3, once 4, will pick up their lives, derailed by the tragedy on the tracks.
It was something I lived through, and it changed my life. It changed the course of my life. I have to find a new path now, a new future.
And join Jay Hendricks for the final installment of Tragedy on the Tracks 1 year later. He sits down with Show of Support's founder, Terry Johnson, to talk about what's next for the charity. For now, live in Midland, Matt Rist, CBS 7 News.